can be very assertive. You can be very strong on a certain point without the rudeness. Unfortunately, it's even normal to see wives speak to their husbands worse than they would a stranger, than they would a friend. But that does not need to be our normal, and that shouldn't be our normal. Hello, beautiful. Welcome to Gems and Pearls with Love. I hope that all of you lovely and precious ladies are all doing well. So, if you follow me on Instagram, or if you have seen the recent shorts that I've uploaded here on YouTube, you will know that I have done a 12-part series on things wives may do that disrespect their husbands. I have gotten a lot of good feedback from that series, whether that be by comments or messages on Instagram, emails, etc. So I got to thinking, why not do the 12-part series here on YouTube where I can talk to you guys about each point instead of you just only reading the little points I made on the reels or the shorts. So I made a poll on the community tab asking you guys if that is something you would be interested into, and everyone that voted said yes. So you ask and you shall receive. A little side note before I get into the video, if you do not know already, I have opened up the options to become a member here on YouTube, and you get a few different perks, but my favorite one is the fact that you will have exclusive content. Currently, right now, my members and I are going through the book, The Proper Care and Feeding of Husbands. Even if they do not have the book or are not reading, I'm still telling you guys about it, discussing it with you guys, and having some deep conversations. So if that is something you are interested into, then you can visit the link in my description box below. Before I dive into what part one of the series is about, I want to just make sure and give you guys a general message for the whole series. It is really important for us wives to know what we are doing that our husbands feel is disrespectful. And some things are really obvious, like the things I talk about in part one, which is this video. They're really obvious. And then there's some things that may be a little bit less obvious. But really and truly, it is something that I think all of us need to be reminded of, especially in today's culture where, unfortunately, being disrespectful to men especially is seen as common and like it's just nothing. And that really sucks because women are wired to really need to feel loved, and men are wired to really feel to need respect. Does that mean that wives do not need to be respected and that husbands do not need to be loved? No, not at all. Even if I go to scripture, Titus 2, the older women are told to teach the younger women to love their husband. And in 1 Peter 3, husbands are told to honor their wives. And you likely know that honor and respect are very closely associated, right? So it's not that women do not need respect. Of course, women should be respected. Of course, men should be loved. But it's what we truly need. It's what really motivates us. It's what really drives us. And here's the thing. It's when men are usually disrespected that they do not feel they are loved. You notice how I say feel respected or feel loved? It doesn't really mean that much for you to say, of course I respect my husband. Of course, I show him respect if he doesn't feel respected. That's why it matters what he actually feels that is respectful or disrespectful. As much as both wives and husbands need both love and respect, even the Bible itself in Ephesians 5:33 says that the husband is to see that he loves his wife, and the wife is to see that she respects, or in some versions, reverence, which is a deep respect, her husband. So there's no point in ignoring or trying to argue the facts. This is just how we are made and what we truly need. I have heard women say things like, I will respect him when he does such and such, or why should I respect my husband if he's etc., etc. It's like as if she's expecting him to earn her respect. But how crazy is it to hear a husband say, I will not love my wife until she does, etc., etc. Because she's like this, I'm not going to love her. That's crazy, right? You as a wife should be loved unconditionally, just as the husband should be respected unconditionally. If you have not yet read the book Love and Respect, please do. Please do. I really believe that every husband and wife should, at some point in time in their marriage, maybe even more than once, should read the book Love and Respect. The next point I want to make is that this list that I put together is very general, but at the end of the day, not all men are the same, not all women are the same. So although I'm giving you ideas to possibly consider, pray about, really you should be taking it up with your husband, because there might be something that one man may feel is disrespectful that another man doesn't. So, for example, there can be one man that thinks that a woman rolling her eyes is rude and disrespectful, where another man might think that it's cute and adorable, right? So, that's what I mean. Like, you have to, at the end of the day, know your husband, study your husband, and sometimes even ask him, really, what are the things that makes him feel disrespected, or what are the things that make him feel respected? So, yeah, guys, it's just a general thing, but at the end of the day, you need to know your husband. Okay, so for part one of the ways that you can be disrespecting your husband is by being rude. Quite simple, quite obvious, plainly just being rude. You can be rude by telling him off. So I know people have different ways to call this. So some people will say telling the person off, cussing him out, calling him out of his name, whatever you call it. The point is you are just going off. You are just saying a bunch of things that are rude, and name calling, which goes along with that. You know, you're calling him, you're so stupid, you're an idiot, you're lazy. Completely rude, completely disrespectful. Then there are physical things that we can do with our bodies that can be really rude and disrespectful. So, like I mentioned earlier, rolling your eyes, or even just giving certain dirty looks, like looking them up and down, or like, just doing kind of these facial expressions that are rude. And then there's also, maybe moving your head around in your body while you're talking to him, have your hands moving around, pointing at his face. Most men are very turned off by that. That is not the kind of behavior that we want to have as a beautiful, feminine woman of God. Then there are those like little offhanded remarks, those jabs, using sarcasm, things of that nature. So, for example, let's say you've been wanting your husband to change a light bulb in your house. Maybe it's really high and you have to use a ladder, so you asked him to do that weeks ago. Then, weeks later, he finally gets to change the light bulb. Instead of just saying, "Oh, babe, thank you so much for changing the bulb." Instead, you're like, seriously, finally, it's about time. Oh, wow, look, we finally have a handyman in this house, Using those just like underhanded remarks and, yeah, things of that nature. But seriously though, all joking matter aside, wives, this is not okay behavior. And I want to make sure and say that it is also not okay for husbands to do that to you. I know that usually there's always someone in the comments saying it goes both ways. Yes, husbands should not treat their wives like that. But I am a wife speaking to other women, so that is why it is women who I am addressing. Usually, when we end up having these rude behaviors, it's because we allow our emotions to control us. Instead of taking the time to calm down and respond appropriately, we just react out of our emotions. Really, we shouldn't be treating anybody like that, not even a stranger. Should we be finding ourselves trying to cuss out, calling them names, just being rude? We shouldn't do that to anyone, much less our husband, who we are literally committed to respect. It is not okay to be rude just because we are angry, we are upset, we are irritated, we are tired, for any reason, with the time of the month, whatever it is, does not make it okay to be rude to anyone, especially our husband? Are we going to make mistakes? Are we going to slip up and say something we shouldn't have said? Very likely that is going to happen. We are human. We are likely to make mistakes, just like our husbands will also make mistakes. But there's a difference between making a mistake, slipping up, saying something we shouldn't have, or rolling our eyes, or doing something that he feels disrespected by, acknowledging that that was not okay behavior and repenting about it, versus just saying, oh, well, I was tired, or, well, he got on my nerves. Well, he said that anyway. Honey, even if he did something or said something that was not right, two wrongs do not make a right. This is something that we were supposed to learn all the way back when we were in like grade 2 or whatever, right? Two wrongs do not make it right. We do not overcome evil with evil. That's the Bible's version of that. So even if he is saying something that's rude to you, at the end of the day, you're still responsible for your own actions. So it's up to us to take time to calm down, take a break from the conversation, and come back to it afterwards and still address what it was that he said, etc. But if we are not going to be able to do that in a way that is respectful, we shouldn't do it at that time. There's a video that I made where I talked about ways, I think, to deal with disagreements in a feminine way or something on those lines. I will link that video below, because in that video, I go into talk about ways that we can not only respond just to our husband, but to anybody in a way that is calm and gentle and kind. We need to learn to have self-control and to be able to communicate in a way that is still out of love and out of kindness. It is never necessary to be rude. You can be very assertive. You can be very strong on a certain point without the rudeness. Again, like in the video, I also talk about how you should even be able to hold boundaries without being unkind and rude. I know that unfortunately, in the society we live in today, these things are seen as just normal. It's just normal to see wives giving their husbands rude looks. It's normal to see wives speak to their husbands in any kind of way. Unfortunately, it's even normal to see wives speak to their husbands worse than they would a stranger, than they would a friend. But that does not need to be our normal. And that shouldn't be our normal. Firstly, if you're a believer as a woman of God, that absolutely shouldn't be our normal. And either way, even if you are not a believer, at the end of the day, if you're here, you're on this channel, you're a subscriber, it is because you want to learn to be a wonderful, feminine, loving wife, a helpmeet to your husband. And those things, those kind of behaviors are not helpful. It's not something that we should just brush off and just think that it's okay. Don't worry about it. He'll forget about it. He didn't seem bothered by it. He didn't say anything. No. It is something that we need to take seriously. It is literally sinful to act that way towards anybody. But again, especially the man that we are told that we are to reverence. So whether this is something that you do because it's just what you've grown up and seen, it's just the people that you hang around with, that's the way they respond, that's the way they act, or maybe you do it again just because it's just out of emotions. You just get upset and you just lash out. Regardless of whatever the reason is, it is something that we need to address. I'm not here to make you feel bad about it. I'm not here to, bring down condemnation or whatever the case is. I'm here as somebody who can understand, who can relate to saying things that you shouldn't say, and that wants you to do better, and that believes into you that you can do better. We can do better together. I know that your friends or people on TV may talk to their husband all crazy, but you, I don't want to see you doing that. You're royalty. You're a daughter of the Most High King. I expect better from you, and you should expect better from you. Our angry reactions, they are learned behaviors. But the good thing about that is gentle reactions, gentle responses, I should say, is also learned behavior. It's going to take practice, it's going to take time, but we can get better, especially with the help of God. So that is all I have for this video for part 1. In the next part, we are going to be talking about our tone, because that is so important. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please click the thumbs up. And I would love if you would leave your comments and your thoughts below. Also, go ahead and share it. And if you happen to share it on social media, you can go ahead and tag me and I will reshare it. Until next time, sparkle like the gems of wisdom that you've got. Bye-bye.